There's an old story about two brothers who were dear friends, grew up together, and each one of them had a farm on opposite sides of the hill. And one of the brothers got married, had a large family, and the other one was single and alone. Each brother cared so much for the other that although they had this partnership where they would work in the fields together and then split the grain each night, one night the brother who has a large family was thinking, my brother's all alone. He could probably use a little bit more joy in his life. He decides to take some of the grain out of his own barn and in the stealth of the night climbs up across the mountain and leaves it in his brother's barn. Later that night, his brother was thinking, my brother, he has so many kids, so many mouths to feed. It's not fair that we should split it evenly. He needs more food than I do. And he goes to his barn in the stealth of the night, takes some grain, and carries it across the hill to the other side. And this occurred on a couple days in a row. Each night, they're thinking, my brother needs it more than I do. And each morning they would wake up and see there's the same amount of grain as the night before. One night, they both get up, and it's dark out. They're climbing to the top of the mountain, and right there, boom, they bump into each other. And they realize that it's their brother who's delivering grain to their barn, and they embrace in a loving brotherly embrace, realizing how much they care for each other. And Hashem said, wow, I love that friendship and that unity so much that this is where I want to build the Holy Temple. Now they say there is another story that happened where same situation, two brothers, one with a large family, one all alone. And each night, each brother thought, why should my brother, who doesn't have any kids, get all that grain? And he goes over and he steals a bunch back from him. And he was thinking, I'm all alone. I really need more grain in my life and something to make me happy. It's not like I have a wife and kids to keep me busy. And he goes and he steals some grain from his brother's yard. And this happens a few nights in a row. And each day they wake up and there's the same amount in their barn. And one night they're both going to take from their brother's barns. And boom, they bump into each other. And they start arguing and getting into a big fight. And God says, okay, this is where we're going to put the Knesset. What is friendship? What is love? What is unity? This Shabbos is Shabbos Mevorchim, the Shabbos that we bless the new month of Av. Av is a very troubling time in our Jewish history. We're in a 3-week mourning period from the 17th of Tammuz until the 9th of Av that mourns the breaching of the walls of Jerusalem and the ultimate destruction of the first and second Holy Temple on the 9th of Av. And so there's a special reading from Jeremiah's prophecy, telling the Jewish people, hey, guys, you got to start getting along. You got to get back with the program because this is not going to turn out well. It's called the 3 weeks Bein HaMetzorim, the 3 challenging weeks for the Jewish people, where we have special prophecies that talk about the chastisement that the prophet gives the Jewish people to get back on track. He says, Shimu devar Hashem beis Yaakov v'chol mishpachos beis Yisrael. Jeremiah says, Hashem told me to prophesy to the Jewish people saying, listen, hear the word of Hashem, the house of Yaakov and the families of the Jewish people. Listen up, guys. Hashem. This is what Hashem says. What did your forefathers find wrong with me that they started going off the path? They started leaving me. Instead that they go after something that's hevel, useless, futility, nothingness, and then they themselves become futile. This discord, this separation, which brought about so much destruction and chaos in the world is what the prophet Jeremiah is beseeching us to recognize and to fix. Where is the fix? Well, in this week's Parsha, in Matais, it talks about the cure. It says, Vaydaber Hashem al Moshe lemor, Nekoim nikmas b'nei Yisrael me'ez hamidyanim. Hashem tells Moshe, I want you to arrange a war against Midian. Midian, somebody who was not worried that the Jewish people might conquer their land. It wasn't in the Israel proper, and yet they were damaging and attacking the Jewish people for no reason other than just baseless hatred. And Hashem says, okay, you got to go and wage, before you could go into the land of Israel, even though this wasn't on the scheduled program, now you got to go out and wage war against Midian. Vaydaber Moshe al ha'am lemor. So Moshe spoke to the nation. Hecholtzu mitchem anoshim. Gather together people from each one of the tribes. Litzavav ayo Midian nikmas Hashem b'Midian. In order to take out Midian. Now, this battle was crucial to being able to go into the land of Israel. Yerushalayim, the capital of Israel, is called Yerushalayim, the full and complete wholesomeness and peace. And Midian is derived from the Hebrew word madon, which means strife or argument, ripping people apart, bringing about discord and separation. And so this baseless hatred had to be eradicated before they could go into and establish the harmonious living of going into the land of Eretz Yisrael. What brings about discord, separation, is an inflated sense of self, the ego. You see, an egocentric person, when there's another person around, he feels like that person has good qualities. It challenges his own goodness or value or worth, and therefore seeks to put them down in order to inflate his own self-worth. And even if he's not malicious about it, where he's happy at the downfall of somebody else, it doesn't really bother him too much because he's focused on me. So somebody else's problems don't really trouble him so much. And he's blinded to their good qualities because he can't imagine that, let's say, somebody else is sincere in the relationship with Hashem when he knows he himself is not very sincere in it. But somebody who's not plagued with this egocentricity, he sees good qualities in others. Their suffering really troubles him, and he judges people favorably and can't find any reason or justification for why they might be suffering. Similarly, if somebody starts an argument with him, says, I don't like your opinion, you don't make sense, rather than getting all offended, whoa, what's going on? Oh, you're insulting me, you don't like my opinion. He says, what is it that you believe? And tries to deepen his understanding of truth, because it's not about me, but about connecting and about bringing together a unity of different ideas, and tries to get to a deeper perspective through those challenges. And the depth of a relationship that can come about through having multiple opinions and different people is something so special that God decided that it wasn't good enough to leave existence as it was before creation where there was only divine unity, only godliness. Decided to go and create a world where the possibility of separation and discord is available in order to bring out something so profound called friendship. You see, what does it mean to have a friend? In Pirkei Avot, it says, Konei lecha chaver. Acquire for yourself a friend. How do you acquire a friend? It takes investment. You got to give. You have to really care. But it's a worthwhile investment because, imagine being in a position where there's nobody there for you. Nobody who really cares about you. Nobody can really make it on their own. But this is not really the depth of what real friendship is about. So let's imagine that there was a possibility of such an individual who really didn't need anybody. I'm good. I'm good on my own. I am self-sufficient. I can take care of myself. I'm independent. And I don't need anybody. You have people like that. Very proud of their independence and their lack of dependency on anyone. I could go out and live in the woods. I can fend for myself. I can take care of myself. I don't need anybody. And yet, friendship, which is dependent on something that you're going to get from your friend, is not the essence of what it means to be friends. The depth of friendship is something that God alone decided to create a very a separate entity, a world, in order to introduce this concept of bringing together disseparate parts. There's an old story of two very close friends who grew up together. They played ball together. They did everything together. And as they were growing up in ancient Israel during the times of the Roman Empire, they ended up getting married. And slowly they moved apart due to logistics. And one of them was actually living in what was controlled by the Roman Empire. And the other one moved and was not too far away, but in a separate country under the Syrian Empire. Now, they were still very close, even though they were in different countries. And the friend from the Roman Empire went to go visit his dear childhood friend who was living in the Syrian Empire. When he came in, and he went to go visit his friend, they were catching up and schmoozing. People saw this guy, and he's not from around here, and they accused him of being a spy. And so he was taken to the Syrian emperor and tried and convicted on the charge of espionage. And they sentenced him to a public hanging. Now he said, please, my family, my kids, I need to set things in order. At least just give me 30 days to put my life in order, and then I'll come back for the public execution. They laughed. You're right. Okay, we'll let you go for 30 days. We'll never see you again. So he said, I have a guarantor. I have a friend who will come and take my place for those 30 days. And if I don't come back, you can hang him instead. And they laughed. Yeah, right. You had a friend who's going to come in and sit in your place? Sure, show him. And so he got his friend to come. And his friend agreed. Yeah, to let my friend go back home and put his life in order. I'll sit and I'll be the guarantor. So they locked his friend up in jail. The emperor was shocked that there was somebody willing to do this. And so he agreed to it. They locked the friend up, and he went back to his family, put his life in order. A lot of hugs, a lot of tears. The time was getting close. He knew he had to go, relieve his friend of the duties, and then take his position, his sentence. And so, with plenty of time, he set out back to Syrian Empire. And back in the day, you had to have the proper winds for the boats to go, and it wasn't exactly, we get frustrated when our planes get delayed. This could take days until you get the right conditions to be able to set sail. And finally, he's able to catch a boat and make it on to the shores of Syria. And he realizes it's the dawn of the 30th day. And so he's running, and that morning, they take the friend out. Yeah, your friend's not coming back. Who would think that your friend would actually come back? And they bring him up to the center of town. Then they used to make a big deal out of public hangings, and it was a big public affair. Everybody's coming, everybody's watching. And they set the whole thing up, put the noose around his neck. And before they actually hang him, they see from the distance there's a commotion. Somebody's shouting, yelling, "Stop! Stop it! Stop! I'm coming!" Pushing through the crowd, going up to the front. And he said, I'm here, I came back. You have to let me go on the... And he runs up to the noose, and he grabs it off of his friend, and he puts it on his own head. And his friend said, "No, you were too late. The deal was that if you're not back in the 60th day, that I would take your place. You give it to me." And they start fighting back and forth over the noose. Who's going to get it? Who's going to be the one that's going to be hanged? Now, the executioners and the guards never seen anything like that. They didn't know what to do. So they called the Syrian emperor to come down and help us figure out what to do in this circumstance. And the Syrian emperor comes in, and he sees they're fighting and wrestling over the rope. "No, hang me! No, hang me!" He looks at them and says, "This type of friendship I've never seen before. I'll let you both off the hook on one condition: that you let me be your third friend." The depth of love and connection that we can attain through selflessness, through real friendship that's not because I need you for something. Honestly, who do we need for anything? Who can you actually rely on? Hashem is the one that provides everything. A true friendship is one where we're friends, not because what am I going to get out of it? Friends because there's something so powerful about uniting separate entities coming together. And we see this expression throughout existence. Two halves of a soul come down into two separate bodies, only to be reunited and come together as one. Couldn't just create them together and one. There's something so powerful about friends uniting that it's worth creating separation for the sake of true and lasting friendship. And this is ultimately the inner workings, the secret of creation. God took infinite unity and oneness and split it apart, as it were. Created nothingness, created a veil, darkness, to then bring in a little bit of light, create the world, form it, and put us in a place where on the surface we are separate. And there is the possibility for ego and for strife and for arguments and for ripping each other apart. All for the sake of a deeper love and unity that comes when two separate entities can fuse, can come together as one. Something so wholesome about friendship that it's worth the strife or the separation in order to bring it all together. And so we're in the 3 weeks. We're mourning the destruction of the Holy Temple and the separation, the sinas chinam, the baseless hatred that ripped us apart. But already God commanded Moshe in this week's Torah portion to cure. The connection between this parsha and the time that it comes in, the 3 weeks, is here we have a battle against Midian, fighting, strife, and separation to get rid of that animosity, get rid of the clashing, recognize another's presence is there in order to bring a fusion, a unity that's so wondrous and so marvelous that God himself, so to speak, was all powerful and completely perfect. It doesn't need anybody or anything. Created a world, created a nation in order to have a friendship, a relationship. The power of loving, bonding relationships are so strong and so powerful that it was kedai, it was worth it to make the very concept of Midian, of strife, of separation, in order that we should come to the beauty of selfless friendship that's born from it. And when we devote ourselves to really loving and caring for one another in a selfless way, we have baseless love, unconditional love. The very cause of the destruction of the Holy Temple was baseless hatred. And so when we nullify the cause itself, the effect ceases to be in place. And so through digging deep and revealing this unconditional love, a love that's not dependent because what I'm going to get for that, or what am I going to get out of that love, or what am I going to, what's in it for me, but an unconditional, baseless love for one another will nullify the cause of the destruction, which will automatically revert the effect, which is that the temple lays in ruins. And we'll see the temple restored and godliness revealed, and how 2,000 years of suffering and exile and discord and separation was all worth it in order to bring out a loving bond and a deeper unity that was not possible without that separation. Just as when God created the very existence, we're able to have a relationship with Hashem, and Hashem can have a relationship with us, which was not possible before there was an actual creation. And so too with every division, there's a deeper unity and this novelty of true friendship that's born from it. A good Shabbos, L'chaim, everyone, and may we see the Beis HaMikdash restored, in our days, speedily. L'chaim.